Welcome to East Boston, not TD Garden. We're back here
in
Eastie, man. It's really snowy here in Eastie.
Just over the water.
Just over
like
the harbor. Just like this great.
Thank you.
Just like the Celtics, who have made their way across the pond to London in what I guess the big word here in the Boston area has become bonding. Mm-hmm. We all know that's.
We're bonding right now. I'm Jimmy, by the way.
I didn't introduce any of you, did I? That's good.
You
We're so well bonded, I don't have to tell anybody
Sway.
who anybody
Don't worry
is.
about
Thanks,
this.
Jimmy.
Don't worry about this. Thanks.
Anyway, it's been the biggest topic has been bonding. Obviously, that's what we want as or Celtics fans want the Celtics to come back bonded. Weren't they well bonded before coming back?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like when you heard that story about with Kyrie Irving and how he was joking around with his teammates and how he's kind of been that guy behind the scenes. The Jack McMullen story is what I'm referring to. He's been sneaky about it.
Funny.
But that's the kind of leader you want to see. And that's the kind of leader we sort of expected, right? Out of Kyrie Irving. I mean, he's not going to be the one that's going to play jokes on camera in front of the public. But I think this is a really close knit team. I think even before they go to London, it can only make them closer. I think because of the whole Doc Rivers and Mbutu summer of 2007 that we're all like, oh, this could be huge. Maybe it will be, but in the grand scheme of things, this team is already pretty close.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree, Jimmy. Like you were obviously around during the championship run in 2010. They didn't win.
Fell short.
The year before was Ubuntu 2 years earlier. The year before. It's been probably one of the most oversaid words in the NBA since then. I think everybody wants a little bit of
Doc,
Ubuntu.
Yeah, right.
But for the Celtics, in this scenario, it was almost like, and you don't want to take a negative situation with Gordon Hayward, but it was almost as if that bonded them, this
definitely,
team.
yeah.
That injury bonded them early on. And so now, where does London, besides getting rest, where does it fit in for the Celtics as far as bringing them back into the second half of the season, and where do you see them benefiting?
Where do I see them benefiting after going
trip.
to London? Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the fact that they're a close team, and this is going to help the bonding experience. The difference was when the Celtics went, they went before the season even started. Right. So that was kind of like, they were probably a lot of times, they were just kind of meeting each other to begin with. So that I think that was probably a little more extreme of a bonding trip than this would be because they already are familiar with each other. Right. They're teammates. They're, quote-unquote brothers.
Do you know if in 08 that if the families went?
No.
They went this time.
Oh, the families went this time?
How do you feel about that? I didn't mean to cut you off.
The families didn't go in the first time, though. I remember that.
They didn't?
No.
Stay as far away from your family as possible. I don't want to hear
I mean,
not during the season. I don't want to see family. I don't want to hear family.
Okay, so Mark D'Amico from the Celtics, he's out there in London, had a great report on Celtics.com about.
Wow, they sent Mark too, huh? Jeez, everyone's going.
All right. Next year, there won't be a game out there next year. Anyway, so Mark's over there in London. He's talking about a huge banquet, big formal dinner they had, and the families are there. And we're talking about bonding, like, bro bonding, you'd think, right? How do you feel about the families being there?
I mean, Jimmy, you made a good point. I mean, this isn't like they all have known each other for quite some time now, so it's a very different trip. Yeah, because I remember specifically Doc Rivers talking about how he would have like a couple of hours where guys could get on their phone and call their families and check in.
Right.
But he was very strict about cell phones. He wanted the team to force them to talk to each other.
Yes.
And, spend all that time with each other. So I mean, it's a little different dynamic, but I mean, for the most part, it's probably going to bring them closer. I mean, this is a younger team. At the end of the day, I feel like the Celtics team of 2007 and 8, much older. They were more. They were more familiar with being in the NBA. They were more ready. So I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think it's fine too. I mean, Brad Stevens is a family man. You know what I mean? So what's he going to do?
I think he had more dad moments out there.
He's
like dad of the year.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't a shock to see all these people going along with the trip, and I think it's great. Probably helps the players feel more comfortable and they get to enjoy some of their time because a lot of that trip is off the court. Let's be real. I mean, most of it is. So you might as well enjoy some time with your family while you're there. The other takeaway I have from, and I'll make it quick because I don't want to drag this on, but the other takeaway I had is the fact that the NBA chose Boston and Philly, to me, is cool because it kind of tells me that these are two teams that, obviously they're rich in history, but they're not two like junk teams that no one really has any interest in watching or caring about. They're two up-and-coming teams with young players on each side, that they think will, I think we can all agree there's superstar talent on both of these teams, young players as well as, on the Celtics end anyways, some older players. So I think that's really another great aspect of the Celtics going there.
No question about it. I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it's a feather in the cap of the franchise. Who did they play in Mexico last year? You guys remember?
Kings,
Sacramento.
Kings, right. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd agree.
Rondo almost didn't come back.
Oh, that was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years
2 years
that
ago.
was
Yeah,
2
yeah,
years
2 years
ago,
ago.
So,
Yeah, it
real
wasn't
quick,
last
we're going to
year.
wrap this up. Danny Ainge caused some controversy. The only thing that's being more discussed than bonding in London is Gordon Hayward's boot or whatever, brace coming off.
Yeah.
So, real quick, let's just real rapid fire. Will
Okay.
Gordon Hayward come back this season?
I think that's
Rapid
a
fire.
slight possibility, but if I had to bet on it, only in the NBA Finals.
Week.
No.
I like that answer. I'm Nick Gelso. He's Jimmy Toscano.
It's complicated.
Josue Pavone from East Boston. We'll catch you on the Garden Report following the Celtics-Sixers game across the pond.